supposed to stand right here, right? Give or take. All right, just FYI for the leadership people that are speaking at some point, make sure you stand right here so that the camera's got you. All right. Start with the video.
Testing 1, 2, 3, here I go. Give me that microphone. Is this thing on? The moment I've been waiting for is finally knocking at my door. My day up in the sun is just a ride. The world is mine and it's my stage. I'm owning this, I came to play. Just shout out, scream it out and testify. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. I'ma give 'em a sight to see. Buckle on up and get ready. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. All is on me, make it loud. Listen up, can you hear me now? Give me that mic. Now's the time. Get up, get loud, and show 'em what I'm about. Give me that mic. I'm coming alive. Ain't no stopping when I'm in the zone. Give me that microphone. Give me that mic. Give me that mic. Now's the time. Give me that microphone. Give me that microphone. Give me that microphone.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our informational meeting for the 2024 ELCA Youth Gathering. I am Erin Halagowski, and I want to introduce you to start off with the folks that are on our core leadership team for the gathering. So this team of people have met several times now throughout the course of the summer to begin the planning and the preparation and the promotions and all of those things for our trip to the ELCA Youth Gathering next summer. They're going to help me share the microphone today so that you don't have to listen to me talk the whole time. I'm hoping that throughout the course of the presentation, we will be able to answer many of the questions that may arise, but we will have a time for Q&A at the end. So if you have specific questions that come up as we're sharing, if you could hold them to the end till that time, we would be happy to answer those questions at that time. So if I could have my leadership team folks stand up when I say your name. So the adults that are on this leadership team, besides myself, are Sharon Cullum, Ryan Pearson, he's in the back, and Michelle Wade. And then our students that have been helping us out are Sam Cullum, Kaylee Hogendorn, Mackenzie Lett, and Grant Stoller. And so, as I said, they have been helping us out with deciding what are the things that we need to do for promotions to build excitement around the gathering, setting our travel dates, talking about how we want to transport a group to and from New Orleans and those kinds of things. And as we continue to get rolling into the planning process, for example, these students and these adults will be the voice of the students that are going on the trip to give input once we get into things like selecting places where we're going to eat, sightseeing stops, those kinds of things. So those will be the people that you'll want to get that information to if you're like, hey, I really want to go to Cafe Du Monde and get beignets while we're in New Orleans. Talk to them, and they'll come and bring that to the team as we're planning. They have also been working on things like our fundraising plans. All of the stuff that you're going to hear about today are the things that this team of people have been working on. So I want to start by thanking them because they make my job a whole lot easier and better because they really do give legs to all of the plans that we have and that we put together. So thank you to you all that are serving on that team. We can clap for them. And I want to, I'm going to call Ryan up really quick because this is his only chance. I want to invite Ryan up. So Ryan is recording the meeting for us so that those students that aren't able to be here today can get this information. But I do want to give Ryan a chance because we're all going to share at some point why we're excited to go to New Orleans for the gathering or why we're excited for the gathering. And so this is Ryan's chance.
Thank you for my chance. You're welcome. Hello, camera. So this is a really interesting opportunity for me, and I think maybe some others on the leadership team. I'm not quite sure. So I had the chance to go to one gathering, and it was in 1997. You guys can do the math. But it was in New Orleans, and it was the first time ELCA ever had the gathering in New Orleans, I believe. According to the internet, this will be the fourth time that this will be in New Orleans, and those of you that know history of New Orleans know that there was a pretty big gap in there where there was not an opportunity to have the gathering in New Orleans because of Hurricane Katrina. So this is back at the same venue that I was at. The Superdome is the primary venue where the Saints play. So this is going to be a pretty cool venue. I think when I was there, it was about 35,000 adults and kids. I think that's about what they're expecting this time around. We'll be contributing mightily to that number. So I'm super excited. I also was a leader last summer? I guess it was last summer, to the very famous detour trip, if you were on it. So I know a lot of these kids pretty well. I go to a lot of the Sunday HSM events, if you guys are going to those. So I'm excited about this. 27 years later, to be headed back to New Orleans and standing in line for 2 hours to get my beignet. So, thanks.
All right, so we are going to watch another video from the gathering. This video explains a little bit more in depth of the kinds of things that you'll experience at the gathering. And then after that video is done, Grant and Sam and Mackenzie are going to share our next little bits of information.
Hi, I'm Claire.
And I'm Matthew.
You might be wondering what the ELCA Youth Gathering really is.
Claire and I have both been to gatherings, and we're here to tell you what it's all about.
Young Lutherans have been gathering for more than 100 years. The Lutheran denominations that made up the ELCA each had rich traditions of bringing together their youth.
We've gathered in places from Los Angeles to Boston under themes like Call to Freedom and Jesus, Justice, Jazz, with speakers from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Pastor Nadia Bowles-Weber.
It seems surreal to be a part of that much history. I felt like I was a part of something bigger than myself when I was at the gathering. And while styles have changed, the purpose of the gathering has not.
The mission of the gathering is faith formation in young people. We do this through worship, hands-on learning, Bible study, fellowship, and service, all of which you'll experience in new and unique ways at the gathering.
During your 3 full days of the gathering, you'll rotate through our different program areas.
Interactive Learning is a huge convention center exhibit hall that is turned into a holy playground. Through hands-on activities, you'll meet our partners in ministry who are doing amazing things across the world and are excited for you to be a part of their mission.
In the past, partners have done everything from virtual reality that puts you in the shoes of a farmer in rural Tanzania, to prayer labyrinths, to building house frames that are later donated to a family in need, to community art projects. Interactive learning is also where you can find more high-energy activities like sports and blow-up obstacles.
Yeah, the space can be kind of overwhelming when you first walk in, but I was so proud to be a part of a church that's out there doing all these things.
Sometimes I feel helpless in the world, but in interactive learning, I saw ways we could all get involved and make a change. I found things that I could do and bring back to my congregation.
On Synod Day, you'll spend time with those in your geographic area for a fun day of Bible study, worship, and community building. Youth lead the program, and your Synod's bishop will be there to help bring the theme of the day to life.
One of my favorite things about Synod Day is that I got to connect with people that live near me. I've even been able to stay in touch with a few of them and have seen them at other events.
Service learning is more than a work project. It's about learning the story of organizations in our host city and participating in their mission for a day.
On your Service Learning Day, You might be planting an urban garden, listening to stories, cleaning a park, or learning about the culture of a community.
It's an impactful, busy, exciting day. I saw the Holy Spirit working in ways I had never seen it before through people I didn't even know.
Each night, everyone comes to the stadium for mass gathering, where we dive deeper into our daily themes through inspirational speakers and great music. Our final morning together, we gather for worship. For me, there's nothing like saying the Lord's Prayer and taking communion with 30,000 of my closest friends.
I don't think I've ever felt closer to God. The love in the stadium is real.
Other awesome things you'll do at the gathering include joining others at a daily Bible study that helps you unpack God's Word, and a nightly congregational devotion and debrief called Final 15 that lets you wrestle with tough questions and discernment.
I loved being able to end the day with my congregation and honestly unpack everything that we had experienced throughout the day.
Prior to the gathering, there are 2 opportunities for specific communities to gather. The Multicultural Youth Leadership Event, or MILE, is for young people of color or people whose primary language is not English.
The table blesses and empowers youth with disabilities and gives them a preview of the host city. Both of these events are vital to the ministry of the gathering.
Identity is important, and going to MILE made me feel named and claimed in the ELCA. It's not only about knowing you're not alone, but knowing that you are welcomed and needed in this church.
Now, I know we just threw a lot of information at you, so if you want more information on the MILE, the table, or the gathering, just visit our website or contact us on social media.
What we want you to know is that the gathering can be life-changing for you as it was for us. It was a turning point in my faith journey, and it helped strengthen my sense of belonging to this faith and my church.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. The gathering is a place for you to come 100% just as you are and grow in your relationship with God.
We hope to see you at the next gathering.
Okay, so this is for all you students from going into 8th to 12th grade. As I hope you all know, it's for the 2024 ELCA Youth Gathering in New Orleans, July 14th to 21st, 2024. I'm excited to go because as I was on the detour last time, I just stepped in the faith journey, connected relationships with those I already knew and didn't know so much, so I encourage you guys all to come. It's a great time.
So similar to the detour trip to North Carolina and Tennessee, we're looking to take 25 youth participants. I think there was, 28 here here today. There are 31 here today, so that's a pretty good number. I mean, I know not everyone here is going to be able to go, but that's still a promising number. We're going to be busing, and if you want to take a look at the board back there, and then also at the main campus, once you register, your face will be put on the bus, and that guarantees your seat on the bus, so that you know that you have a. It's not like necessarily where you're going to sit, but you just know that you're going. You don't have to sit exactly where you're put on the bus, but yeah. And then also similar to Grant, I'm excited to go because I had a really good time on the detour trip. It was a little unfortunate not being able to go in 2021, but I'm really excited this year because hopefully COVID doesn't spike up or anything like that again to prohibit us from going. But yeah, so thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Mackenzie Lett, and I'm going to be talking about housing. So hotel room assignments are going to come in January. We're going to be housed in one of 4 areas of New Orleans, which is the Convention Center, downtown, French Quarter, or Superdome. And it's going to be in one of 3 price ranges that are on the board up there. We're working with our other Southern Ohio Synod churches to coordinate housing near each other so it makes it easier and so we know more people around us. Roommate assignments and requests are going to happen in February or March. And I'm excited to go because the last trip we went on, I got close with a lot of people. So it'll be fun to go on another trip with them and then also to build relationships with other people.
Hi everybody, my name is Alex Davenport and I went to the Detroit 2015 gathering as well as the 2018 gathering in Houston, and I would say the most impactful experiences we had were helping people out in those cities and doing the service work on our service day. Like in Detroit, we cleaned up the streets and picked up garbage, trimmed hedges and whatnot, and then we painted fences in Houston for a local youth center. So there's some really cool opportunities to serve and to serve the people in those cities, as well as some pretty powerful mass gathering events and concerts and stuff like that. So you should definitely, if you're at all considering the youth gathering, go on YouTube and look up their videos and go check out their marketing material, because it's awesome. It truly is one of the coolest experiences you'll have in your life. To be around 40,000 people that believe in the same thing that you do is a pretty powerful experience. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Sharon Cullum. For those that don't know me, I'm better known as Sam's mom, but he tries to not make that happen sometimes, right? So I get to talk about what I do for a living is money. From a parent standpoint, what is this going to look like for me, and what do I have to commit? So there's a registration fee that's involved. Just when you look at the overall budget of what we're talking about, is $375. The housing piece of what we're looking at, running about $175 a room plus taxes, based on 3 nights. Based on 3 people to a room for 4 nights while we're there. We arrive the night before, we're there the 3 days, and then stay, and then we'll also be staying over and above that on each end. But this part is $315. Oh wait, I'm lying. $275. Sorry. For those 4 nights. The food, we will feed your children every day, we promise, 3 meals a day and some snacks, budgeting that at $315. The transportation, ka-ching, chunk, big piece of what we're doing, but firmly believe in the transportation that we've chosen. $14,400 divided by however many kids are going takes us to $545 a person. That includes everything. Erin is great about including all of those things in that number. The other expenses, we do some sightseeing while we're out there too, which is really cool. That's where the leadership team comes into play, deciding on what those sightseeing opportunities will be. Group shirts, giveaways, trading swag, adult leader training, and then just miscellaneous expenses that go along with that, $205. The total budgeted cost per person is $1,715. The cost per student is actually $2,050 because that includes a proration for the adults that go. So the adults don't pay full price. We're taking a week off. This is not a vacation for us. This is definitely an incredible opportunity, but it is work time too while we're there. So that's what that looks like. So this is what I kind of misspoke earlier when I was talking. So this is the part that you say, okay, where does that fall for me? Each participant pays a $250 deposit when you register. And that registration will open as early as later today. It's open now. Okay. It opened at noon today. So how ironic with the timing, right? Big shock from Erin there. A $250 deposit upon registration. And so when you go and register, that's when that $250 is due. In your minds, be thinking that at the end of this, there's going to be another $250 deposit that's due towards the end, which will be in May of 2024. I skipped down to that to say $500 out of your pocket potentially at the most, okay? We really, really work hard on not making you have to pay that second payment. And when I went to Houston, I can't speak to Detroit, if they had to make that second payment when they went to Detroit or not. Okay. But still, so when you think of those things in your mind, I know if you're like me, you like to plan for those financial financial costs that are going to come, and so the fundraising goal in between that is between $1,300 and $1,500 per person. So when you look at that, we have. Do you have another slide that goes along with that? Okay. So we have many opportunities where we have to come together as a group in order to be able to do that. So when you look at that, there's your first $250 deposit. The Youth Dedicated Fund, which has been ongoing in supporting us Each trip that we've gone on, including the detour, we are budgeting $250 a person to be able to pull from that budget. So essentially matching your deposit just from that line item alone. The youth ministry budget has also committed $50 per person. When you start multiplying some of those out, we targeted some of those for 30 and some of those for 25. So if you go home and do the math, you're going to be like, what are these numbers? It doesn't exactly equal out, but I promise $250 and $50, those are the things that we're going to see. But if you just if you're like me, you take the total and you divide that out, it's because of the amount of students. We're hoping to have more than 25, right? But our goal is at least 25 kids, students. So then we will have the envelope wall and the money wall fundraiser. That is where we take envelopes and we write $1 through $150. We post them out here and at the Far Hills campus, and then some people come and take that envelope and return it with that money in it. It's amazing what a generous congregation we have when it comes to that money wall fundraiser. The restaurant takeovers. Restaurant takeovers are pretty much, I'm sure everybody knows what the restaurant takeover is, right? Chipotle, Milano's, whatever that looks like, Chick-fil-A. We all meet as a team again to go there and eat, and then the funds come back to us in the form of a check from that company. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 20%, just depends on what that looks like. I will do a plug. If there is a parent that is on your heart to do, it's not hard planning, really. Come and say, hey, I've got some opportunities, and I have got already connections in through here, be it through school or whatever that looks like. We are always looking for those. Let's see, bingo night fundraisers. Put your hand up if you love bingo. Oh my gosh, seriously, girls? You love bingo. Put your arms up, yes. So bingo night fundraisers. So the bingo night fundraisers are basically exactly that. We're going to provide childcare. We're going to come and play, and we're going to split the pot 50-50. I've watched those fundraisers happen where you think you're going to split the pot 50-50, and whoever wins that bingo fundraiser just says, you know what, just I'm good. I'm here. I'm having a good time. Just throw that money back in. So we're hoping for 3 of those at $2,000 each, or $240 per student there. And then mark your calendars, that mid-Lent Mardi Gras dinner auction. Yeah, that's a hard one to say. Michelle's shaking her head, yes. That's our big fundraiser. That will happen March 16th? Yes. Okay.
Everybody has it. All these dates and everything are on the fundraising handout.
Okay. So that date is March 16th. We are asking for a family commitment that night more than just sending your student and going. Yes, there's financial options there, but it takes all hands on board to be able to do what we do that night and raise that kind of money. And everybody has different gifts. So if there's a gift that you have, if your student decides to go, and there's a gift that you have that you say, you know what, I'm pretty decent at this. And I have a team that can do that. Please let us know. But that's obviously, we're expecting a $15,000 night. I think in 2018 when we did it, we had a $16,000 night. So just a little bit lower, but that it seems very attainable, again, with the congregation that we have. And then a car wash fundraiser. It would be great to have to cancel this car wash fundraiser if we can, but the car wash fundraiser is there too. Again, really unique opportunity that Aaron has come up with on how we're going to do that. Let's see, and then your final payment of $250. So that's kind of in a nutshell, real quick. Again, like Aaron said, you have all of this in handouts as well. Why am I excited to go? Could it be the mass gatherings? Yes. Is it the knock on the door late at night from a student that is struggling with something and needs to talk? Yes. Is it the service learning events that we go to, that it gives me goosebumps when we're painting and there's paint all over each other's faces? And yes. Is it because we listen to some incredible speakers from the floor? Yes. So many things fall into why I am just blessed and able to go. The biggest reason I think, though, and I'm going to try to say it without crying. The biggest reason is the faith formation piece of what your student is going to go with and come back with. There is a space that's created on these trips and in the gathering or the detour, whatever that looks like. There's a space created in these students that they don't even know that they have. And it is a safe space, it is a free space where they tap into something that's within them when they are out of their regular normal pressures of life and what that looks like for them. And they come into this space, and when they find this space that they don't even know that existed, they allow the Holy Spirit to just plunge into that space, and they welcome that space. Do we go without having any problems? No. We have problems, we have struggles, we all do. But that space is holy, holy space. And so that for me is the biggest piece of the faith formation and why I'm blessed to be able to go as an adult. Erin?
Hey everyone, I'm Grace. I attended the ELCA Youth Gathering in 2018. I think my favorite memory from the youth gathering was going to a kids center in downtown Houston and helping out around the property with things like weeding and structural damage that had occurred due to Hurricane Harvey. It was really fun being able to work with members of our youth group as well as members of the community and just be able to laugh with them and share our faith with them. The whole youth gathering was a great experience overall, and I would really recommend you go if you have the opportunity to.
All right, so I want to share with you a little bit. We're going to actually look at this handout that says registration covenant on it. So if you want to be able to pull that up, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what our expectations as far as commitment going into the youth gathering, because really the youth gathering is the pinnacle of a year-long faith formation process. That's kind of how this works for us, is that it is never my goal in life to get on a bus with 35 people who don't know each other. It doesn't sound like fun to me. It sounds like a disaster. And so what we do is we spend the course of the year sort of building our group and forming our faith together in preparation for what we'll experience at the gathering. So as we go through this and we talk about things like gathering prep meetings and things like that, all of those things that we do point us towards what is going to happen in New Orleans next summer. All the fundraising, all of the group building, all of the planning meetings and things like that. So there are really like 4 core commitments that we ask for when you register to be part of this group that's going to the ELCA Youth Gathering. The first is living as a disciple in the community of faith at Epiphany. I know we've got at least one other student, maybe a couple of other students that are going to be joining our group from other area churches, and so in those cases, it's living as a disciple in your community of faith, right? And being part of that. So be present in worship, be present when we have youth events and things like that. These are the ways that we get to know one another over the course of the year. It helps, honestly, it helps with our fundraising too, as members of our congregation see us present. It was amazing being in worship here at Austin this morning and seeing so many of you here all together. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool and so amazing to be able to see one another. Be in prayer for our trip and our community, and just be engaged in what we're doing throughout the year. The second part of that commitment is participating in all of the group fundraising efforts. So all of those things that Sharon just shared with us, the bingo nights, the Mid-Lent Mardi Gras dinner auction, the car wash fundraiser in the spring, restaurant takeovers, all of those things. I do all fundraising at the group level. I've gotten that question before about well, if I work 6 hours for this and 2 hours for this, how much money am I making? We do everything as a whole group. So, I give you the per student breakdown so that you can see kind of how those numbers shake out. But at the end of the day, our fundraising goal is as a whole group. So when we get, 25 students registered and we say, okay, our fundraising goal is $28,000 or whatever that number is, then we work together as a group to raise all of those funds. So participation in those things is expected. Those dates, again, are listed here on the covenant. There's also some more information about all of those fundraisers on the fundraising handout that you have as well. The next piece of that is participating in and attending the gathering preparation meetings. Those meetings, the dates are listed here. You'll notice that we have like a meeting for students and parents in October, and then there's like kind of a gap, right? We do have one on the calendar in December with kind of the plan that that's going to be like sort of a fundraising work session, and then we really pick up with the monthly meetings in January. We meet once a month for gathering prep. Those meetings are time for group building. They're time for, there is a curriculum that comes out from the ELCA youth gathering that goes along with the daily themes for the gathering. And so we get to explore those themes together as a group ahead of the gathering, ahead of hearing about those things from the main stage and experiencing those things at the gathering. We'll do lunch at all of those. There will likely be signups if there's parents that want to help out with providing the lunch and things like that. But we'll do lunch at all of those meetings. They'll all take place from noon to 2. Many of them are happening here at the Austin campus, but there are a few that will be at Far Hills. So we'll make sure that everybody knows where we're meeting, when we're meeting, all of those kinds of things. And then obviously the last part of that commitment is attending the ELCA youth gathering, right? That is an important piece of this. That's what we're preparing to do. You'll notice on this handout that there's sort of like some financial expenses that go along with like if we receive cancellations and things like that. If there's like a specific issue with your family, I know I've already talked to a couple of families that are like, I won't know until a certain date that I'm not able to go, or things like that. If there are specific special circumstances, please come and talk to me. We've got some wiggle room in what those financial expenses are based on when we pay things to the gathering, which things like, for example, the cost of the bus doesn't change for us. No matter whether we have 20 people on the bus or 42 people on the bus or 48 people on the bus, we pay the same amount out of our pocket for the bus. So those are the things that are part of our covenant. So when you go online to register, you'll see that covenant is listed in there. It asks for a digital signature for the student, digital signature for the parent, so that you're signing off and agreeing to be part of this year-long faith formation experience. I want to talk a bit about, there we go. Adult leadership at the gathering. So we always, on trips that I lead, we always aim for a 1-to-4 to 1-to-5 adult to student ratio. This is based, for this trip, it is in line with what the gathering is suggested. They sort of give us guidelines, and they say, if you're bringing this many students, bring this many adults. If you're bringing this many students, bring this many adults. And those adult leaders are invited to participate. We ask the students that are actively participating in high school ministry to help us with the names of the adults. The ones that are already going, so Ryan and Michelle and Sharon, are adults that have been consistently present as adult leaders in high school ministry over the course of the past several years now. And if we get to a point, if the need arises where we need to add additional adults, the core leadership team will extend those invitations for that. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, you can come and talk to me, but I don't make promises because it really is based on the input of the students that are going. And the reason for that is that adult leaders make or break any trip that we're on. And so there are all kinds of factors around that. The relationships adults have with students, the relationships those adults have with each other, and being able to work together. We really, I will brag on these three that were on our discipleship tour, and also Anthony Brown, who was our other adult leader on that. We faced some challenges on the discipleship tour. If you have a student that went on that trip, you already know about that. If you didn't, you may have heard like the lore about several bus breakdowns, about a bus being stuck in the mountains, about what our lunch got given away one day. I mean, we faced literally challenges every day. And that team of adults, I could not have done that trip without that particular group of adults and the way they worked together. And so that is really what we aim for, that the students were like, we're having a great time. This is a great trip. And the adults were like, we're doing this. We're doing what we need to do. And so that is sort of the deal with adult leadership. And then the last thing that I'm going to review now is the gathering timeline. So this is these are the dates that are on the magnets that you have. So we give you these refrigerator magnets so you can stick them to your refrigerator. I would encourage you. So here's the thing: we have this cool like Google Calendar now too. All of these dates are on that Google Calendar too, the youth ministry Google Calendar. But this is the timeline for this trip. Right? So today we're at the informational meeting. The registration deadline of October 21st. We're going to get more information about registration here in a little bit. October 15th, our first meeting is a meeting for students and parents. That meeting will be a lot of fundraising signups, more trip information, whatever we have gotten from the ELCA by that point, things like that. November 14th is our first fundraiser, first bingo night fundraiser. December 3rd, gathering prep. Then you'll see January 7th, gathering prep. January 26th, bingo night. We get into a little bit of a pattern where we have a prep meeting and a fundraiser pretty much every month. February 4th, gathering prep. 24th, bingo night. March 3rd, gathering prep. 16th, dinner auction. April 14th, gathering prep. May 4th, car wash fundraiser. May 5th, gathering prep. June 9th, gathering prep. June 30th will be the final trip meeting for students and parents. And then July 10th through 13th, pack your bags. And then the 14th through the 24th, 14th through the 21st. That's a little too long, not the 24th. 14th through the 21st, New Orleans or bust. And then you'll also note on there that we already have our reunion date set for this trip. So August 11th, after we get back from the trip, August 11th is going to be Youth Sunday when we will share our stories with the congregation. And then also we'll do some sort of fun trip reunion that day. It's a couple weeks after we get back. Everybody's kind of gotten back into real life and just an opportunity for us to reconnect after the trip. I want to share just really briefly one of the cool things that we're doing that we haven't done before. So we are leaving on a Sunday on July 14th. We are going to do commissioning in worship that morning. So in the past, we've done commissioning like a few days before we leave or whatever. We are going to literally commission our students in worship Sunday morning and then get on the bus and the congregation can help send us off. So that is kind of just a cool thing. So we'll have all the logistics and stuff for, bringing your bags and all of that kind of stuff. But just kind of a cool opportunity. And then depending on what our timing looks like when we're getting back on that last Sunday, we're also getting back on a Sunday. So yeah, I think that's all of that. And then we're going to hear from, so all of these little video snippets that you've been seeing, these are students from Epiphany that went on previous gatherings. And so we're going to hear from one more of them.
Hey everyone, my favorite part of the ELCA youth gathering was all of the friendships I made. I got to strengthen all of my Epiphany friendships, and I also made new friends down in Houston. I met my friend Kara, she's from Iowa, and we still keep in touch almost every day. We've even flown across the country to see each other a few times, and I just think it's a great way to grow your Christian community.
Okay. Hi, I'm Michelle Wade, and I am still a breakthrough minister here as well for the young adults, and I've also attended a lot of the high school ministry meetings as well. And I had the opportunity of going to the detour trip 2 years ago, and that was truly an awesome experience.
Hey everyone, my favorite part.
Hi everyone. Okay, so registration is happening now. It is online on the gathering cycle, and you guys all got one of these. You need to take out your phone. I've already done this, and scan that QR code. Go ahead and start registering, because I think I'll just go on with this. So one of the incentives was to do the first 7 people who register get 3 tickets with your names on it for the prizes that you see up here. So the first 7 will get 3 entries. Then the next 7 will get 2 entries. And then the last 7 to sign up or more will get the 3rd prize. So I will leave those up there if you want to check it out. That's a fun little incentive that I hope you guys will jump into and get that registration done. Registration with deposit is due October 1st. Deposits can be made online at the time of registration or by check. Who does that go out to? Goes out to Aaron? No. No. Okay, made out to Epiphany Lutheran Church. The first group meeting, which Aaron's already shared, is, of course, October the 15th, and that's when the raffle will be drawn. I'll probably have one of our youth leaders draw names during that Sunday. We would strongly advise all of you young people who are sitting here right now to invite others from your small group or friends that you may like to have come on this journey with us. Please reach out to them. They just need to do everything you're going to do, sign the covenant, do the fundraisers, but they can be a part of it too. Let's see. Why am I excited? I am so excited. Okay, so like Ryan, I went in 92. I was also a sophomore in high school that year, and it was truly transforming. I agree. I'm going to try not to cry either, because it is indescribable. That's the word that comes to mind. Indescribable. The speakers. I got to see Maya Angelou the year I was there. I got to see Tony Campolo speak. It was awesome. I remember the music and the skits. It's just, I can't, it's like a rock concert. I don't know, it's just awesome, and you get to be in an arena filled with 30,000 others to worship, and it's just truly awesome, life-changing. You will be transformed both during that gathering and after, and I'm excited because I want to share that with each one of you. That's why I'm excited to go. And I think final payment is, I got the wrong one, sorry. I think I'm done. I think I'll introduce Kaylee. Thank you. Video first.
I praise you.
I praise you. I will praise you, for I'm fearfully.
For I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
For I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
We're excited to be centered around the theme of Created to Be for the 2024 ELCA Youth Gathering. Multicultural Youth Leadership Event, or MILE, the table, and the brand new Young Adult Gathering, all in New Orleans.
Since the last time the ELCA has come together for a gathering, our young people have experienced major life events.
Still today, we are experiencing an ongoing public health crisis mixed with an economic crisis and a political crisis. However, we can rest assured that we are created to be in relationship with one another.
In our time together in New Orleans, we're going to explore the daily themes of Created to Be Brave, to show up with an open mind and heart and be willing to be challenged.
Created to be authentic, to bring our whole selves and to know that we are loved by our Creator.
Created to be free, to be transformed by the gospel.
Created to be disruptive, to work for justice for all of our siblings.
And created to be disciples, to be sent out into the world to love our neighbor like we are loved by God.
The theme Created to Be encompasses many of the beautiful and vibrant pieces of New Orleans.
As our host city, New Orleans has always been its true authentic self. Created to Be highlights the arts, the music, and the soul of the city.
Throughout the city, you'll be able to hear musicians playing their hearts out in inspiring jazz, blues, rock, and pop. From the French Quarter to uptown to downtown, you'll find delicious food created by incredible chefs ready for your taste buds. New Orleans was built to host and be a city for all of God's children to come together.
Throughout the week at the gathering, we'll dive deeper into topics that are upfront and present in the lives of our young people today. From mental health to anti-racism conversations, we hope to foster relationships and be sanctuary for one another.
We know that we are simultaneously both saint and sinner and need forgiveness when we aren't or can't be brave. Authentic, free, disruptive disciples.
To incorporate our pre-events Mile and the Table, a gathering for youth living with a wide range of disabilities, more fully in the overall gathering experience, we are excited to share the theme throughout all of these ministries.
We are equally excited for the director of Mile and the Table to share their dreams of our time together in New Orleans.
When the Spirit empowers, things begin to happen. The soul is very much a part of the body, and the Spirit awakens our soul and gives us life. As the body of Christ, our soul is not fully complete unless the rest of the body is also in harmony. At the 2024 Multicultural Youth Leadership event, we will explore how we are created to be transformed. Transformation happens through a Spirit-inspired community. The very nature of God is community, where two or more are gathered. Our soul is the breath that gives life, and every part of us is important to the community. I am because we are. No matter who you are or where you come from, we can empower one another without judgment, knowing that we are all created to be transformed. Our ethnic cultures are rich in community and kinship. The abundance of the community we strive to model at Mile is the foundation of our ethnic communities. We inspire to bring liberating relationships characterized by equality, difference, mutuality, communion, and oneness. A community that will be inclusive and accountable to all.
In the beginning, God created and called it good. But God never stopped creating. And what God makes is still good. In 2024, the table will gather around the theme, created to be Holy You. Now I know what you're thinking. We spelled holy wrong. And, well, yes, we did. Because we know that to say that God creates us just as we are raises a few more questions for people who live with a wide variety of disabilities. Because sometimes it means limits that others don't have, or complicated medical issues, or perceptions that others place on us that don't seem loving or just. At the table, we know that everyone is created in the love of God and called to live wholly as they are, fully into their story, with incredible gifts and questions, joys, sorrows, struggles, and doubts, living fully into their story that's being co-written with God. Holy You, claimed and made holy in the grace of Jesus, created to be Holy You.
Hi, I'm Kaylee, and I'm going to be talking about the communication stuff, basically. We have a text messaging list, so it's up there on the board. You text the @ to that number, and you will be put in for the messages. And then we have a QR code on the refrigerator magnet, and it's generally around. You can probably find it. It's like up there. That's to access the online hub for information and stuff like that. We have email updates for registered students. So once you register, you will also get email updates to let you know what's going on. We have a gathering board over here in the hallway outside here. And at Far Hills, we have it on the wall. I'm not really sure what that area is called. Yeah, right outside the office. Yeah, we have it up on the wall there. So that's where you'll see like the faces on the bus, and they'll have also information on it. And I'm excited to go to New Orleans because, like everyone else, I didn't get to go to the 2021 trip, but I did get to go on Detour, and I had a lot of fun. I created a lot of friendships that I still keep up and I still enjoy. And so I'm excited to create more and keep more bonds. And then I'm going to hand the mic to Aaron for questions.
All right, so I did have one question come to me right as that last video was playing, just so you know, like sort of the interaction between, like, our plan right now is to go to the youth gathering portion. Mile and Dale are events that happen in the host city prior to the event. If we had students that, or if we have students that are interested in going to those, we can coordinate and make arrangements as far as those go. But those are sort of like separate events happening prior to the event for those students to connect and experience the city before the main youth gathering event. You may have also heard them mention the young adult gathering, and this has been a source of many questions from leaders like myself and others who are taking youth to the gathering, and we're like, whoa, there's a young adult gathering happening at the same time. But just so you know, the information that we have at this point, so there is a gathering happening for young adults during the same time. What they're trying to do is capture that audience of students that were not able to go to the gathering in 2022. There were like several years of students that missed an opportunity to go to a gathering period. Because of the cancellation due to COVID. So they're trying to capture that audience and give them sort of that opportunity. All of the young adult programming, all of their housing, everything is going to be separate from what's happening at the youth gathering. Every young adult that attends the young adult gathering is also going to undergo a background check. That's information that I just got yesterday. So that is part of that. The only piece that they are going to be combined with the youth gathering for is the mass gatherings in the evenings, and they're going to have a separate assigned seating section from the youth gathering participants. So that is the information that I have right now about the young adult gathering. If you have college students or young adults that might be interested in attending that gathering, the registration process is separate from church groups. Like I said, their housing would be separate, but if we had a group of folks from Epiphany that were interested in doing that, we could help with sort of coordinating that, that sort of thing. So that's the information that I know about that. Yeah, so the question is, if we had a small group of young adults from Epiphany that were interested in going and we had space on the bus, would we be able to help with transportation? That's certainly a conversation that we could have. I'm open to that. I honestly, at this point, I'm looking at this room and our bus that we have seats 48 people. It seats less than that comfortably, so we do aim to have let adults have their own seats on the bus for a 14-hour plus bus ride. But if we had that space available, I would be open to exploring that or open to finding ways that we can help coordinate that transportation. All right, so now at this point, I would be more than happy to take any questions that you might have. So if there are questions, fire away. Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm going to repeat questions for the recording so that we have that. So the question was, for transportation, did we weigh pros and cons with flying versus busing based on the cost of those things and what airfare might be? We talked about it some as a Gathering Core leadership team. For our experiences for Epiphany, we have bused for the past several youth gatherings. Part of our trip is also going to include a stopover on the way down. We haven't talked about that yet, but you may have noticed that the gathering starts on Tuesday night and we're leaving on Sunday. And we have not yet solidified the plans for those 2 days, but we have some really cool options that we're looking into for a stopover on the way down. That's something that we can't do when we with flying. And honestly, part of it is having the transportation available when we're in New Orleans. So I have colleagues that have flown before to gatherings. Usually they fly with a much smaller group than what we're talking, 35 people. If they have 10 or fewer, they may choose to fly. But the issue then becomes okay, how do we move our group around from place to place once we're down in New Orleans? And when we have access to the bus during that time, it gives us a lot of freedom and flexibility to say, we want to do a day trip over to, X place that's not walkable from where we're at. And because we have a bus, we're able to have the nimbleness and the ability to do those sorts of things. So that's a huge factor for us in that as well. Yeah, I have not had the privilege yet of being at a gathering city where everything was walkable. So the two gatherings that I have been to were Detroit, where we bussed an hour to our hotel each night after the mass gathering, and Houston, where we still had to bus from the mass gathering to our hotel. They're able to do a lot more cool stuff in the evenings with everything being so walkable. So they're talking about being able to bring back some things like community life, where there will be like little opportunities and things for us to do things in various hotels, ballrooms, and things throughout the city on the way back from the mass gathering to our hotel and things like that. And so that is stuff that they haven't been able to do the last couple of gathering cycles just because of being so spread out. I will tell you also, Mackenzie touched on the housing, like the sort of the different areas where the housing is going to be provided. Part of the reason why we do registration so early in the year is the gathering is running what they're calling this time around priority registration. Priority registration opens September 15th and is open through November 1st. We have always done, it's been called early bird in the past. We have always done that for budgetary reasons because you save money by registering earlier. But also one of the things that's included in priority registration is we get to select our preference for housing area. So we get to say we would prefer to be in the downtown area, or we would prefer to be in the Superdome area. And that is where I have been in conversation with some other folks from Southern Ohio Synod so that we can try and be close by to some of our friends from other close by churches. And it sounds like from the meeting that I was at yesterday morning with some folks from Southern Ohio Synod that we are targeting for either downtown or Superdome area so that at the end of the night, you know, like we can walk during the day, we can walk to the convention center, we can do this, but at the end of the day, we can be close to our hotel. So that is kind of what we're looking at. As part of that priority registration, we also get to select one of those 3 price points as our like preference for a hotel price point. So we can say like, okay, we really need to be super budget conscious, or you know, our congregation can afford a little bit higher scale hotel rooms. So we'll get to put in that preference, and then we also get to put in a preference for the type of advocacy day or service day experience that we would prefer to have for our group. And so those are things that we get to, because we're registering early, we get to identify our preferences in those. They are assigning those things on a first come, first serve basis. So if there are people, and I can't imagine this sitting where I sit, but if there are churches that register like on September 15th, the day registration opens and they register their group, they will have first choice of all of those things. From speaking at least with my colleagues, most people are targeting to register in that like October time frame to get their groups registered. A lot of that is just like commitment wise, like people are just having informational meetings now, like it's the same with my colleagues. Some of them don't have them for the next couple of weeks. And so, you know, like all of that. We want to give people time to talk about this with their parents and then get our registrations in so that we can then get those into the gathering. Yes, those other groups that I'm talking with are churches that are similar in size to our group. So they are looking at so like Prince of Peace in Loveland, Good Shepherd Lutheran in Cincinnati. Those are groups that are also looking to take anywhere from 15 to Prince of Peace maybe taking 50 people, 60 people, who knows? They take a lot. Yeah, sure. So to talk a little bit about our interactions with Southern Ohio Synod. So they are doing Synod Day a bit differently than this year than they've done in the past. But for Synod Day, what they're doing is we will have a worship service time with our Synod. So we will be in a ballroom somewhere in the city of New Orleans. They'll let us know that far in advance, where we'll have a worship service. Bishop Dillahunt will be there. We'll all be gathered together. That worship service will either take place at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m., depending on what time the gathering assigns. Again, information that will come out slowly throughout the course of the year. And then they are, basically the rest of that day is group time, we can, we've got some connections within the Synod where we may say, like, hey, we really want to spend some time with Prince of Peace Loveland. That's who we, kind of did stuff with on our detour trip last year. Or we really want to connect with some of these other congregations. They are doing and I just learned this yesterday too, they are doing the app is called Goose Chase Scavenger Hunt. It's a scavenger hunt app, and they are doing a massive, every church will have the opportunity throughout your time, the whole time with the gathering. But part of this is their sort of Synod experience, the Synod of New Orleans day, is to have some time to do some of these Goose Chase scavenger hunt things. And so there will be apps for our smartphones, and it'll be go get beignets at Café Du Monde and take a picture and upload it. And then there will be points assigned to those things, and they're going to identify winners during the mass gathering. It is crazy cool. And our Synod champion did not have a ton more information than that yesterday. This is a brand new piece of information that they just got. I've seen the Goose Chase app. Thanks. Ember already has the Goose Chase app, so yeah. So I'm sure we'll be getting more information as that gets closer. Anybody else have any questions? Leadership team folks, is there anything we did not cover that we should cover? Oh, yeah, that is a great idea. What if my grandma and grandpa or my aunt and uncle would like to contribute to my trip? One of the things that we have done in the past, and we will make this available again as part of our fundraising, and we did not necessarily highlight this up here, but we have had the opportunity to do sort of support letters. So if your grandparents want to contribute, maybe as part of your Christmas gift, or just out of the goodness of their hearts, or out of their, what are those fancy things that retired people have, IRAs and stuff, where they have money that they have to contribute, right? Fancy things that people are more, whatever, than I am have, but are able to contribute in that way. Those contributions can certainly be made to our trip. We've had that in the past where somebody's grandparents were just we really want to support the whole group, or we really want to support our grandkid, and so here's $1,000, or here's $800, or whatever. So there will be opportunities for that. We will for sure have more information about the fundraising by the October 15th meeting. But one of the things that we're talking about is sort of building out an online hub for fundraising. So we have this online payment system set up now that's working really snazzy for youth events. And we have already set up the, appropriate back-end accounts and things for people to make donations to the youth gathering, for people to make payments for the youth gathering, and all of those kinds of things. And so there will be an opportunity to just give online too. We are hoping that with the Money Wall Envelopes fundraiser this time, we'll be able to add a QR code so that people can go and make their payment online instead of returning the envelope with a check, those kinds of things. And so, yes, there will be plenty of opportunities for people to donate. Yes, so the church office does have information about year-end contributions, IRAs, and all of those fancy grown-up things, and ways that those funds can be designated for the youth gathering and things like that. So contact the church office. I think that's Kathy now. So, all right, are there any other questions? What if I get overwhelmed or something? That is a great question. So there are a lot of people, right, in New Orleans. There's a lot of people just in this room. There's a lot of people on our bus. One of the things that we really talk about is keeping open communication with your adult leaders. So we will have small groups, like family groups, as part of the trip. And so, a group of 6 to 8 students will have an adult leader or 2 adult leaders that are sort of like their point person, right? And we will covenant before we go on the trip of like, what are sort of our expectations while we're gone? And if I am feeling super overwhelmed or I'm somebody that's prone to that, those are things that we need to be communicated to your adult leaders. If you get to a place where, like, say we're in the mass gathering in the Superdome in the evening and you're like, I can't do this anymore. The gathering also provides quiet places in the Superdome where you talk to your adult leader and you say, hey, can we get out of here for a minute? And your adult leader will say, absolutely we can. And I'll go help you, I'll go walk with you to the quiet room or whatever. And we will make that happen. Or I just need space away from the group right now. Okay, let's talk about what that looks like from a safety perspective, but and all of that. Does that help answer that? We will make those accommodations as needed. What? An adult leader may already need to be in the quiet room, and so you may find out who your adult leader best friend is that also needs to be in the quiet room with you. Yes, the question is, does that also apply with people who are affected by lighting and things like that? Absolutely. The question is Pastor Julie going? I do not know the answer to that question yet. There's a lot of factors up in the air right now about about that. So I do not know yet. Oh, the medical stuff and the overwhelmed stuff. Yeah. So just to reiterate, these are not new things that we, that we've never experienced before. And I have full confidence in our adult leaders that are going already on this trip that we have dealt with medical emergencies. We have dealt with people needing space. We've dealt with people arguing with their BFF. We've dealt with people that are really just having, a tough time with anxiety and things like that. And we help walk students through those things. Connie will attest to that we have, and this particular group of adult leaders has gone above and beyond in the things that they have dealt with away from church. So, 52 passenger bus, stuck on the side of a mountain, in the dark, in the middle of the Smoky Mountains. We'll just leave that there, but we all came out from that on the other side.
Emergency lights going on, right? And kids that are sensitive to that.
Yeah.
They're things that are leveling that you're like, okay, we gotta rotate.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I will treat your children and Michelle too like my own. Good and bad, right? I mean, if they're doing what they're doing, and I don't think I'm like, I feel comfortable enough to have a conversation like, okay, what are we thinking about here? Like, is this the best?
Yes, your children will get treated as though their parents are on this trip. I promise. All right, any other questions?
So who's excited?
Who's excited? All right. All right, here's what I want to do really quick. All right, here's what I want to do. If you are thinking right now, like, I know that I'm signing up for this trip and I'm going to go home and sign up so I can be one of the first 7 to get in the drawing, can you stand up? If you know you're going. Like, it's okay if you don't know for sure yet. That's okay. But I want you, if you don't know you're for sure going yet, I want you to see the folks that are. Okay? These are people that are like, yes, I'm in. I'm going. All right, if you're not sure, talk to one of these people. Okay? See that, all right? You've got a good, solid crew already starting to fill up that bus. Okay, you can sit down. All right. If you have additional questions come up over the course of the next several weeks as we go through the registration time, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have also recorded the informational meeting, so if you need to go back and hear something, I'm hoping that we'll get that up on the website by Wednesday of this week. So that'll be available. If somebody that you know wasn't here today and you would like them to hear this information, again, this informational meeting will be up on the website by Wednesday of this week. One more thing that I think probably I was supposed to talk about that I didn't is currently on the website, there are some resources available. So if you scan that QR code, there are a couple of things there for you. There is a conversation guide for, like, if you are an athlete or if you are a musician in marching band or if you have something else that often has commitments in middle of July, dance, soccer, marching band camp, all of those things. There is a conversation guide on the website that also has form letters that you can use now to have a conversation with your coach. We had some students that did that for the detour trip last year. That basically explains, this is the scope of what I'm looking at going and doing. You know as my coach, or I want you to know as my coach or my band director or whatever, that I am committed to what I do with this group, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. And I plan on participating in this. So it also includes in there, like, what can I do now? What work can I do ahead, or what work can I plan to do when I come back to make sure that I can be committed to both of these things, right? I only get this opportunity, you know, if you're going into your sophomore year or higher, this is your one shot, okay? The gathering will happen again in 2027, all right? So if you're currently in grades 8 and 9, you could potentially go 2 times. But if you're currently a sophomore through a senior, this is your one shot at doing this. And so I really would encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity and experience this. It really is, there is no other larger gathering of ELCA Lutherans that ever happens. Like, our church-wide assembly is not this many people. There is no other gathering that happens of this many Lutherans, and so it really is an amazing thing to be a part of. What is the other thing that's on the website? I made the website, and so I should know this. But I know there's that conversation guide. Oh, there's also a frequently asked questions document on there. So this is something that we put together last cycle. One of the students that was on our core leadership team was like, I got a lot of questions because I've never done this before. And so he helped brainstorm that list of questions about the youth gathering, and we put answers together for them. So the FAQ document and then the form letters for coaches, band directors, et cetera, those resources are on the website. That QR code that's on your magnet is going to be the same QR code for the whole year. That's our gathering hub for information. So once we get into fundraising, once we get into gathering prep meetings, all of that stuff, and the online registration form is open as of noon today. What should each individual student bring money for when we go on the trip, and how much? That is a great question. So here's the thing. Really, all of your expenses are covered, right? You will eat. You will have places to stay. You will have snacks. Snacks are provided. You will have all of those things. We have in the past said, like, if you want money, if you want to bring money for souvenirs, if you are somebody that, requires extra things beyond the things that we provided, or like maybe there's going to be an emergency purchase that needs to happen, like things like that, which I don't think has ever happened, but we do encourage students usually to bring some spending money along with them. I'm trying to remember what we've said in the past, like, yeah, parents, how much do you trust your students to come with? But really, anything that you would need while we're there, know that, like, the gathering, for example, in the convention center will have like a souvenir store with this is a shirt. They will have some t-shirts available, like Old Lutheran will be there with their swag and stuff that you can buy, and yeah. Prepaid Visa card. That's a great suggestion. Yeah. And we will have all of those details closer to the trip. There are just some things that we roll out as we get closer. That's true. A lot of places are still cashless. Yeah, so if you have additional questions and you would like to just chat one-on-one with either me or a member of the core leadership team, please reach out and do that. That's what we're here for. That's what we've been training for, right? So I'm more than happy to answer questions one-on-one on an individual basis as well. All right. So I'm going to have Sam close us in prayer.
The Lord be with you. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you that everyone can make it out here and we could have some good food before we get into the logistics of what the trip is going to look like and what the fundraising and meetings are going to look like. I pray for anyone that couldn't be here today and that they don't have any trouble finding the video. And I pray that anyone that wants to go is able to go and that everything works out. Here I pray. Amen.
All right, again, I'll hang out for a few minutes. If you've got more questions, come and see me. And otherwise, scan that code and register online.